The Maiden of the Forest by pumpkinmoose22. Chapter 16. Amidst their elation, Kit's stomach suddenly grumbled. His face grew warm as Ella giggled. "Hungry?" she teased. "Yes," he confessed, embarrassed. "Well then, we should probably eat something. It is well past breakfast time." And with that she got off his lap and walked over to the door, stopping in front of the cord, but she didn't pull it. "Ella?" Kit prompted, but she seemed frozen in place. "I know it's such a simple thing, but I don't know if I can summon someone. I've lived that life for so long. Wouldn't it be hypocritical of me?" Filled with compassion, Kit left the bed and placed his hands on her shoulders, turning her around. "Ella, unlike the cruelty you have been forced to endure, the people who work here as servants are actually paid, receive time off, and aren't forced to serve until their backs ache and their fingers bleed." "They're paid?" she wondered, the concept completely strange to her. "In different ways," Kit admitted. "Some receive wages, while others receive food and lodging. It all depends on what their needs are. Prudence handles those affairs, and she has always treated everyone fairly." "Really?" Kit rubbed his thumb over her cheek. "Ella, sweetheart, remember how your family treated the servants when you were a little girl?" "Yes." "That's how things are here." "You're friends with your servants?" she wondered curiously.
"Of course I am. I'm particularly with Lance and Henry, my personal manservants. We've known each other for many years."
"But will the servants want to be friends with me?" asked Ella quietly. "Unlike you, I haven't grown up around them. I'm a stranger. What if they don't like me?"
"My darling, you are so used to having people hate you that I think you have forgotten there are many in the world with ample amounts of kindness. The servants are more than eager to befriend their soon-to-be queen."
Ella's hands tightened on the rope by the door. "I'm afraid," she whispered.
"You don't have to be," Kit assured. "You're not a hypocrite, Ella. Have courage and pull the rope."
She searched his eyes, and he watched the determination and hope fill her countenance before she did as he asked. She let out a breath, swallowing hard. A second later, a kind woman with bright green eyes and black hair opened the door, curtsying deeply before the two of them. "What can I do for you, my lady, your majesty?" Kit glanced at Ella, who looked beside herself. He didn't want to push her, but he knew the first step to change required he didn't baby her. Taking her hand, he leaned in close and whispered, "Have courage." Ella, eyes wide with panic, turned to look at him, while the servant observed this strange moment with mild curiosity. Determination crossed over Ella's face, and she suddenly smiled. "And be kind," she finished. "Miss, what is your name?"
"Victoria, my lady," she answered a little nervously.
"It's very nice to meet you, Victoria," Ella replied. "Would you be so kind as to have some food brought to us? The king is rather hungry."
Kit cleared his throat a little. "Mildly hungry," he chided.
Ella smirked. "No need to be modest, Kit." Chuckling, Kit wrapped an arm around her waist and kissed her cheek.
"All right. I'm practically starving."
"I'll have something brought up right away, Your Majesty," Victoria said with a big happy grin from seeing their interaction firsthand. "Thank you, Victoria," both of them said at the same time before sharing a glance and laughing. The woman left, chuckling to herself, being sure to tell the servants about what she'd just witnessed after carrying out the order presented to her.
"That wasn't so bad, was it?"
Kit gently said, poking her ribs. Ella giggled, swatting his hand away. "No, I suppose it wasn't." Kit smirked.
"Are you ticklish, Ella?"
Ella grabbed her sides. "No," she said a little too quickly. Grinning, Kit made to poke her again, but Ella sidestepped him and jabbed him in the ribs. Kit recoiled with a shudder, suppressing his own giggles. "It would seem I am not the only one who is ticklish," she muttered, attacking his side with her small fingers. Ella brought out unrestrained laughter from the king as he rushed back to get away from her. Grabbing her around the waist, Kit twisted around just before the two fell onto the bed, digging his fingers into her lower ribs.
He caused hysterical laughter to escape her mouth as she struggled to beneath him. "Concede!" he commanded playfully, hovering over her. "All right!" she gasped between squeals. "You win!" "Ha ha!" Kit cried triumphantly, but his victory was spoiled by a pillow smacking him in the side of the face. "Ouch!" Disorientated, he looked around and found Ella grinning at him with a pillow in her hand. Narrowing his eyes slightly, he smirked. "You are playing a very dangerous game, my lady. Are you sure you want to continue?"
"Only if His Majesty is brave enough," she replied.
In response to that, Kit snatched up a pillow, and a ridiculous amount of laughter ensued as pillows flung this way and that, and the bed became unmade, and a few objects toppled to the floor in the fray, chasing each other around the room. The animals took cover under the bed. Kit didn't even hear the knock on the door, nor see it open as several servants peeked in with trays of food for the two of them. Hearing the riotous laughter echoing off the walls, their curiosity was piqued, and they shuffled fully into the room, just in time to see Ella smack Kit right in the face with a long pillow, the force knocking him back onto the bed. "Concede?" she asked, standing over him, her smirk similar to the triumphant one he had displayed while tickling her. Grinning, Kit grabbed her by the waist and pulled her down onto him. A surprise cry echoed escaped her as she twisted around, now on top of him, pinning her arms to his sides. Breathing heavily, he let out a laugh. "I think I will now," he muttered, before bending down to kiss her. He was about to close his eyes when he saw a movement from the corner of his eye. Breaking away from Ella's lips, he looked up to find 5 servants standing in the room with slightly embarrassed but knowing smiles on their faces. One of them being Octavius, the head butler. Kit immediately leapt up, pulling his robe more securely over his shoulders. "Forgive us, your majesty," Octavius said. "We knocked, but there wasn't an answer." Kit cleared his throat, both he and Ella's faces as red as cherries. "Yes, we were distracted." Ella sat up, trying to brush her hair away from her face. "Sorry we didn't hear you," she muttered. Of the 5, 2 were women, and one of them let out a chuckle before responding. "Think nothing of it, my lady." "Victoria told us you were in the need of a meal," Octavius prompted. "Yes," Kit replied, trying to regain his composure. "You may leave it over there, Octavius." He pointed to a coffee table near a couch on the other side of the room. The servants bowed and curtsied before stepping around the abandoned pillows to leave the food where directed. They promptly left the room, still unable to contain their grins. The second the two were alone, Ella lay back on the bed and put her hand to her forehead. "Gosh, that was so embarrassing," she muttered. "But you can't deny it was completely enjoyable," laughed Kit, walking over to help her up. "You all right?" she giggled, taking his offered hand. The two went over to the couch and sat down to begin eating. The servants had set the table for them, the trays of food on either side of the plates, laden with utensils and fruits, pastries and light sandwiches. Kit immediately filled his plate, but Ella grabbed her napkin and began to fill it with the little bits of each helping. Kit was about to ask her what she was up to, when she got up with the napkin in hand and placed it on the ground. The mice and Mr. Lizard rushed over and at once began to eat. Ella let out a soft laugh as she wandered back to the table, grabbed another napkin and filled it with chunks of pastry, before giving it to Mr. Goose, who happily gobbled up the pieces with great gusto. It was only after she made sure the others were taken care of that she came back to the couch and served herself. Kit looked upon her with fascination. She was completely ignorant of how remarkable her actions were, for she performed them naturally, with no thought at all. She was living who she was, and Kit couldn't help but love her even more. Ella helped herself to very small portions of each thing on the table. Kit tried not to show his worry, but she sensed it somehow. "I'm sorry," she muttered after a moment. "For what?" Kit pretended to ask in ignorance. "I know I haven't eaten a lot since coming here. It bothers you." "I'm just worried about you," Kit replied, setting his fork down. "I understand that I can't expect you to eat a lot, given the circumstances you've lived under in the past 5 months. If I may, can I inquire as to why you stayed at the manor, when your stepmother treated you so horribly?" Ella smiled sadly. "The night before my father left on his last trip,
He consoled me, for I was quite distraught about being left behind with my stepmother and stepsisters. He told me that every time he physically went away, he always left a part of him behind, and that though my mother was gone, she was the very heart of our home. He said I needed to cherish the house always because of this. After he died, I stayed because it was the only home I've ever known, and I wanted to honour my parents by treasuring it for them. Even though during the day it was a nightmare, at night I would dream it was the home I'd always loved. I couldn't bring myself to leave. The memories of my parents are there. Besides you, they are the happiest memories I have. Kit searched her saddened countenance before coming to a decision. Even though she would live with him at the palace, he saw the importance of making sure her childhood home remained a part of her life. If she could stay and endure the abuse and neglect she had, for the sake of desiring to keep precious memories alive, the least he could do was ensure the manor was restored to the happy place it used to be. After all, the nonsense concerning her stepfamily was sorted out. He would send servants in to re-establish the home. But for now, he needed to focus on Ella. Though it had only been 5 months, she had suffered greatly from malnutrition and neglect. "Ella," he asked hesitantly, "with your permission, I would like for the royal physician to examine you." She bit her lip while looking at him. "Would that ease your mind?" "Immensely," Kit replied honestly. "My darling, you know as well as I that you are not as healthy as you should be. You have been poorly treated, and I not only want to restore your spirit, but your body to its proper state." Ella sent him a small smile. "You are too kind to me, Kit." "All right, I'll meet with him." Kit took her hand and squeezed it. "Thank you, Ella." "No, thank you, Kit," she sighed, leaning into his shoulder. After a moment of silence, she guessed, "There are other things on your mind, aren't there?" He kissed the side of her head. "Yes. Though you have already expressed forgiveness to your stepmother for what she has done to you, justice must be satisfied. I am having Captain Alistair conduct an investigation of everything that has transpired in your home from 20 years ago to the present, to gather thorough evidence in order to make a decision on what should be done with your stepfamily." Ella was silent for a moment, leaving Kit to wonder if he had crossed a line and made her upset. She let out a heavy breath and ran her hands through her hair, before nibbling a bit more from the pastry on her plate. "Does this displease you?" Kit asked, unable to take her silence any longer. "There is a part of me that doesn't want you to punish them at all," she confessed. "I was always taught to be kind to others, but I don't know how my parents would feel about the abuse I've had to endure. I don't know if they would support punishment or if they would simply forgive and move on." "Ella," Kit replied delicately, "people can be forgiven, but that does not give them the right to run away from justice." "But what about mercy?" she challenged. "In what way would you like me to show them mercy?" he asked curiously. "In what way are you thinking of punishing them?" "To be honest, I was considering giving them the same fate as the Grand Duke." "The Grand Duke? What has he done?" Ella wondered. "You don't know what he and your stepmother planned together?" Kit asked, surprised. He had thought she had known. Ella shook her head. "I didn't know my stepmother was on terms with him." "Nor I, until the man confessed to me yesterday that he schemed with her to keep you away from me." "What?" Ella gasped, her face pained. Kit took her hand. "She came to him with the broken heel of your shoe, and told him you were a servant girl. They conspired to keep you from me under the conditions that your stepmother would be made a countess, and her 2 daughters be given advantageous marriages. She gave the Grand Duke the right to do with you whatever he pleased." Ella took a deep breath to steady herself, her clenched fists resting on her lap. She was so determined to get what she wanted. "I wondered how my broken shoe had come to be in your possession. Now I know." Kit squeezed her hand, trying to comfort her, for he could see she was rather distraught. "I knew she disliked me. I never thought she would go so far," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "Ella, why does she hate you?"
Kit asked, finally voicing the question that had been burning within him from the moment he had found out Ella had been mistreated. You are the most charming and kind woman I have ever met. That's just it, Ella replied. When she broke my shoe, I asked her the same question. She said it was because I was good and kind. Well, she never finished that sentence. I believe she loathed everything about me because our lives have been so different. She shared with me how, when she was first married, it had been for love, but her husband had died. She married my father for the sake of her daughters, but he was too taken from her. She's had a very bitter life, while mine was fairly blessed. She took out her frustrations on you, Kit surmised. Yes. Kit leaned forward onto his elbows, with his head resting on his hands. That still doesn't justify her actions. Leaping to his feet, he began pacing. People have the choice whether to let their bitterness ruin their lives or not. She had no right to make you the subject of her misfortunes. She may not have had the right, but it is what happened, Ella replied. What is done is done. We can't change that. No, but we can do something in teaching her that forcing someone into servitude and beating them to appease their own bitterness is not allowed in this kingdom. Ella stood up and took his hand, halting him in his pacing. Kit looked at her and saw the broken expression. Sighing, he took her other hand. What would you have me do, Ella? I envision us ruling side to side as equals. I don't want to make the decision that is going to make you unhappy. She searched his face before smiling sadly. We should take into consideration all the crimes that have been committed by her, and then make the decision. But I don't want to be there when it is executed. Nor will I allow you to be, Kit firmly agreed, pulling her into his chest. I believe seeing those horrible women again would not be in your best interest. Ella rested her head against his shoulder, her thin arms wrapping securely around his torso. What of the Grand Duke? Kit sighed. For now I have him placed under house arrest. I determined it would be for the best to decide his fate at the same time as your stepfamily. I've given Captain Alistair a week to investigate the affairs out of your home and the Lady Tremaine's involvement. After that we will ascertain between life in prison, exile, or... He paused, for Ella had stiffened in his arms. Shaking her blonde curls, she stepped away from him. Hasn't there been enough death this year? Kit looked down at his boots before glancing back up at her. Reaching out, he once more wrapped his arms around her, her back now resting against his chest. Placing his head on her shoulder, he muttered, Very well, Ella. I'll omit that option. Is that all right? She asked hesitantly, afraid that she had upset him. Kit kissed her cheek. Yes, my darling. We make decisions together, remember? Out of 3 options, I despise that one the most. It's only used in the most extreme cases. And this situation isn't one of those? Not if you don't want it to be. I'd rather it not. Consider it done, my lady. She twisted around in his embrace and kissed his cheek. Thank you, Kit, she said, rubbing her thumb gently across his skin. Taking her hand, he kissed it. You're welcome, Ella. Now, let us speak of happier things. Like what? She wondered curiously. Oh, I don't know, Kit pondered, sitting back down, popping a grape into his mouth. How old are you? Ella smiled, sitting down too, though she didn't eat anything else. I turned 20 a couple of weeks ago. Kit choked on his grape, smacking his chest a couple of times, and he looked up at her wildly. Are you all right? She asked, unconcerned. You just turned 20? He cried. Ella bit her lip. Does my age bother you? What? No. He shook his head with a slight grin. Not in the slightest. I'm 24. Now, what bothers me is that I missed your birthday. Oh, said Ella absent-mindedly. It's quite all right, Kit. I wasn't expecting anything since... She stilled, looking down. Kit frowned. How long ago was your birthday, Ella?
Today is the 17th, so 11 days ago. September 6th.
Then we should celebrate,
Kit cried, leaping up and began pacing again. It seemed to be something he did quite often as of late.
We can have a ball.
No, we just had one.
We could spend the weekend away from the palace.
Yes, that's it. He slammed his fist down onto his palm. Spinning around, he faced her with a dazzling smile. Leave it to me. We're going to make sure to celebrate properly. Ella stared at him with a small smile climbing her cheeks. Kit, as grateful as I am you want to celebrate my birthday, you have a kingdom to run. Kit waved his hand.
Ella, darling, birthdays are meant to be celebrated, no matter who you are. They only happen once a year, and I refuse to miss yours even if it has already been missed.
We'll make it work. Her smile was strained now, but Kit could tell she was fighting the happiness that she was feeling inside. I thought we were going to make decisions together.
Sorry,
Kit smirked, but I'm going to veto that one in this case. Ella laughed. Very well, but only if you allow me to do something special for you for your birthday. Kit tapped his chin.
I suppose that's only fair.
Ella grinned. All right then.
Wait, you didn't ask me when my birthday was,
Kit pointed out. Ella sent him a quizzical eyebrow. The annual festival held the week of the June 21st to celebrate His Majesty's birth makes it blatantly obvious. Kit's face reddened.
Oh, right.
Ella laughed, standing up to kiss his cheek. Thank you for wanting to celebrate my birthday. Forgetting his embarrassment immediately from her kiss, he wrapped his arms around her waist and kissed her hair.
Thank you for letting me spoil you. It will be a momentous occasion.
Not too momentous, I hope, she said with a hint of worry.
Don't worry, Ella. I know a royal celebration will overwhelm you right now. I'll keep it simple. Elegant, but simple.
Ella tightened her hold on him. Thank you. End of chapter. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that because that is a lovely chapter, isn't it? God, they're such a cute couple. It's so sweet. And him saying he wants to be her partner and rule side by side. And of course the tickle fight and the pillow fight. I mean, they're just having genuine couple moments now. It's not simply the fairy tale stuff. Which, as much as I love fairy tale gushy romance, sometimes you just need a bit of good old-fashioned domestic fluff, don't you? Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-dino pals. I'll see you in another video. Bye!